with that.
Oh, you didn't notice that guy then. All right. I thought you were going to expect this from me. The Impromptu Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Jeff and Damien. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the first official episode of the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. With me, my brother, Damien. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. Excited about doing the first show.
Right, so let's just take a quick minute to talk about the name change. We were did some searches on Apple Podcasts and YouTube and whatnot, and noticed there was some similarities to the Keepin' It Kayfabe name. I was able to find Keep It Kayfabe, Let's Keep It Kayfabe, just stuff like that. So we had the discussion where maybe we should try to think of something a little different. And last weekend when we were hanging out, you let it slip. Impromptu Wrestling Podcast, and I thought, oh, that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a running joke when we used to watch WWE where every match seemed to be impromptu. Yeah, it just kind of popped in my head.
And I think because we're AEW that it just kind of fits that Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. Just a little rib on our good friend Michael Cole, right? So, what do we got on tap today for this week's episode?
So we're going to do what we're going to do. I think most shows we're going to cover a week in AEW. So we're going to talk about being the elite. We're going to talk about the episode of Dark, which would have happened from last week's show. Dynamite from yesterday, and we'll just recap the current rank. We'll look at a little bit of AEW news since our last podcast. We'll talk about Revolution and do some predictions, which is I'm looking forward to that. We have a segment where we're going to talk about WWE called Scoop of Vanilla.
Nice.
So if you watch the last episodes, you'll know what we mean by that. And then the final segment will be Breaking Kayfabe, where that's your segment. So talk about what that one's about.
With Breaking Kayfabe, it might not be a staple every week, but hopefully it will. I just want to talk about just for a little bit behind the curtain. Breaking Kayfabe. I got some interesting news out of the world of Matt Hardy that we'll get into in that segment. And, just something a little more real, a little more real world. I guess that's really the only way I can describe it. So Breaking the Kayfabe is a new segment on the show. But let's get right into this week's podcast. The last few were running a little long, and we got to get that timed out, so let's get right into it. Being the Elite. It's episode 192. It was called Toy Fair. What are your initial thoughts on that episode? I thought it was pretty good myself.
Well, I have to say, initially I thought it said Toy Flair.
Oh.
So I was thinking it had something to do with Rick. Just reread it. So wasn't what I expected.
Right.
I wouldn't say it was one of their best shows, but I think they're starting to reveal some stuff.
My initial thoughts on the episode were, I felt like this is the first episode in a really long time where they were getting back to Japan being the Elite. Their bits were a little bit more goofy. There was the callback to the Kenny Omega nude leaks and whatnot, and I just thought it was a really funny episode. It had good bits.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
Did you catch the homage to Adam Cole?
No,
Oh
I
yeah,
did not catch
when
that.
when Brandon was talking about the coffee and how he was gonna, get people to come there, and he's like, Matt goes, "Send them
Oh,
along, baby." I mean,
right.
I take that as a
Yeah,
nod to Adam.
I didn't catch that. I wonder if because Brandon was a little hesitant to take his sip, right? I wonder if they were calling back to that, when they pulled the rib on Adam Cole. Rest in
Oh
peace.
yeah, right,
Maybe
right.
he's thinking, he's like, oh man, why does he want me to drink this so bad? But yeah, good call. Good call.
That would be an intricate storyline, I
Yeah,
think,
it would.
or story arc.
All right. Well, I mean, overall, good episode. There wasn't too much. There was a little bit furthering of Hangman's character in that last segment. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really proving that the end is near with the
Right.
whole, Kenny's disappointed in him, and then at the very end there, Hangman's like, "Hey, you know what? We didn't even come up with a name." So it's like, was it real anyways? That kind of
Right.
idea.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that totally. I think we're gonna get the payoff to this storyline this weekend coming up at Revolution. We'll get into that further later on in the show, but I completely agree. I think the end is near, and it was just a good kind of down note on the buddy cop drama that is Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Yeah, we never did come up with a name. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. I like that.
I think there's one other thing. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's good.
Is the one little bit they did with the two guys from the Dark,
Okay.
and yeah, I really should learn their names, but the one guy goes like, "Have you ever met the Exalted One?"
Right.
Which makes me think, is there even an Exalted One? Like, I mean, that could be he never existed.
Right. Maybe this is.
It could be a way they go with it.
It's possible. Yeah, I could see that happening. We've seen this higher power, exalted one storyline before. Way back in the day, if anybody remembers that. But that would be a different take on it. The exalted one was a phantom all along, and really it is just Evil Uno's master plan all
Right.
along.
Kind of like a Wizard of Oz, pull the
Yeah.
curtain. It's not really anybody at all. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Thought it was interesting why they use those words. Does it mean something? Who knows?
Exalted one, you mean?
Right. Right.
Well, Evil Uno, one, exalted one, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's always that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's probably enough for being the elite. Let's move on to Tuesday night on YouTube. AEW Dark. This is the 21st edition of AEW Dark. That's kind of yeah. That's weird to say because I guess you almost forget that this has been going on since October. So
Right.
but
Yeah.
these are the dark matches that took place during the Atlanta show last week. Let's just run through the matches real quick.
Yeah. So the first match was Jimmy Havoc versus Mr. Stunt, the little guy in small packages.
We didn't really talk about Marco Stunt last week, so let's just touch on this a little bit. This guy gets a lot of flack from, we'll call them the smarks, the industry heads, the cornets, and the Meltzers of the business. I've always been the believer that professional wrestling has its spots for everyone, as long as they're used properly and to their strengths, and things don't get too out of the realm of believability. I think there's a spot for Marco Stunt. I'm happy that AEW is giving him a shot. I think they've been using him well. He's not body slamming anybody. You know what I mean? He's not picking anybody up. A lot of his spots are just Hurricane Ranas and some tornado DDTs. I think it's working, and to have him in the Jurassic Express, I just think it works.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and I really thought that this week's show, this match in particular, was probably his best performance I've ever seen him in. It was less on the comical side and more just highlighted what his abilities. So yeah, like kudos to him, and it was really good to see Jimmy back. We haven't seen him in a while.
Right.
I don't know what the story was behind that. It almost sounded like maybe he was injured and he's back from injury, but they didn't say that, so don't quote me.
I think he still works for a promotion in the United Kingdom, so he might have been doing a tour back home. I think sometimes they like to play that stuff off as injuries, but I think he was just doing a tour back in Britain.
Yeah. Do you think anything was missing from this match?
No, it was a pretty standard match. The right person went over, and did you? You seem to maybe have something on the tip of your tongue there.
Well, they showed Luther there for 10 seconds, and then nothing came of it.
So Luther,
is that just
that Luther business goes back a couple weeks on an episode of Dark before we were doing the podcast, and Dr. Luther's calling out Jimmy Havoc. He, because they're both kind of the death match. Dr. Luther's been doing this for 30 years. Jimmy Havoc's kind of the, it's kind of funny to say the young blood of the deathmatch scene, but yeah, that's just Dr. Luther calling him out. I think that's a feud that they're going to go with going forward, and it all started a couple weeks ago on Dark.
Oh, okay.
It was just a vignette.
Okay, so I missed that, but it's still like, you think they would have cut back maybe a couple more times, or maybe he came to the ring like it was just top of the ramp, and then I thought they could have did a little bit more there.
It almost would have been more impactful if they just had a staged backstage, just to cause that distraction. It almost makes more sense for him to come out and say something instead of just being up on the ramp. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move along. We had the Dark Order, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson. I'm going to call them the original, the OGs of the Dark Order. They're taking on the Strong Hearts, Shima and T-Hawk. This was just your cut and dry, straight up tag team match. It was great heel work by the Dark Order. I felt the Strong Hearts had their shine a little bit towards the end. They're a little bit of a Hulk up, if you will, but Dark Order kind of squashes them down after that and gets the win. Did you have any?
Yeah, Strong Hearts really impressed me in this match. They really work well together, and you can tell that they have that experience together. I thought it was a perfect match to have after last week's Dynamite when Shima left with the mask in his head.
Right.
It ties that together. So yeah, I thought it was a decent.
Do you think anything's going to come of that? They've been going after a lot of recruits the Dark Order have. Is Shima a candidate?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's a big enough character yet, but that being said, maybe this is a way you get him more over.
Right.
So it wouldn't be crazy to me if he did.
I feel like it just wouldn't work because he wouldn't be able to contribute to anything other than just wrestling for them, and I think that would die out pretty quick.
He's not a Mike P.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Japanese wrestler. Shima is, who's working in China with OWE, the Oriental Wrestling Entertainment, and I don't know. I don't see it going any further than than this, but we'll see.
Yeah.
What else did we have on the?
I think it was just a tease, eh?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they seem to be recruiting anybody and everyone and anybody who has lost a match in the last month. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think it's anything more than just to establish the fact that they're looking for members, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
all right, let's move on.
The next match was insane spots, a bit awkward at times, but we had Kip Sabian with Penelope versus Joey Janela. Joey came up on top this one, but I think for the whole thing, it could have went either way. Like it was pretty nuts sometimes. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I was glued to this match. I was working on I was working on some stuff for the podcast while I was watching this, and I just stopped everything because, Kip Sabian is an unreal, just an unreal talent in the ring. This guy is in such control of his body. He makes the simplest things, just look like they're so important.
Yeah, I never thought about it, but he's like a Finn Balor.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
that he is a UK product, right? So I think there's something to this. You always hear about the British style of professional wrestling, and you really see it come out of these UK guys. But
right.
Joey going up against Joey Janela, this isn't a match that we've not seen before. This is probably their third match against each other. It seems to be going back and forth. This time it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. I like how, as Super Bad, getting the smooches on, he comes out, tries to get the quick roll up. I believe it was Rick Knox was the ref, had to sprint from the ring to go count it up the ramp. I think that that whole thing just worked. How he gets the surprise pin. There's almost the visual 1, 2, 3, but then by the time Rick gets there, Kip kicks out and we're brawling. We're going through the crowd. We're getting our
Penelope's involved.
Penelope's involved. She took a big bump right off the bat there to start.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this bump at the end, but standard hardcore match. This is right in Joey Janela's wheelhouse. So, all in all, I thought this match was just perfect. I'm thinking we're gonna see more. This story between these three is not over yet. For those of you who might not know, the story behind this feud is Joey Janela and Penelope Ford were a thing back in the day. I'm not sure how long ago or how long they were together, but they were together in real life. They came out together and everything. And ever since this AEW and everybody getting signed, she's moved on and is with Kip Sabian now. And it's just this weird kind of love triangle going on. And I think it's working.
Yeah, and it's a story that's been done before, but
for sure,
this one feels more real.
Well, yeah, they're really bringing that shoot aspect of it, if you will, because it is known that Joey Janela and Penelope Ford were together. Now, is Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford together for real? I don't know. That might be a spot for a future break in the kayfabe. But they tell us it is, and we gotta take it as it is.
They're playing it like it is. They got me convinced.
Yeah, for sure. Big spots of the match. We got to talk about these table spots.
Or lack thereof, like the miss you're talking about.
What miss are you talking about?
Well, they Kip and Penelope set up those tables, and then she's moving them around to kind of catch them, and then it ends up happening, and they land in between the tables.
She took a nasty shot to the head there, coming through that table.
Yeah, like the leg broke, but I don't think the table cracked.
The one table cracked a little bit, and the other one didn't. It looked like a rough landing, and
Yeah.
I've never seen that spot to where someone's coming from inside the ring to the outside of the ring to go through tables and have them perpendicular to the ring apron. I've never seen that. It's always parallel. And
Yeah.
they were somewhat diagonal, so I don't know what Penelope was thinking moving them, but she took a nasty bump.
I almost was thinking that maybe the spot was supposed to come from the ring, and then somehow it got changed.
Right, maybe.
But I don't call this a botch. I think it looked deadlier that they kind of missed it and hit the ground like it made
It
me
looked
cringe.
rough. Yeah, it looked rough. Like that shoot hurt like that. Ugh. And then we go into the finish. Joey goes under and gets that kendo stick, and
The shot heard around the world.
yeah, like I don't know. Okay, is this bringing the real life into it again? You know, where
Or was it a miss?
was it just a
But
miss?
I mean, yeah.
To
I
me-
mean, it's got to happen.
To me, misses happen, but to me, this was. I mean, Joey Janela's hit enough people in his career with kendo sticks to know where to hit a guy. I think this was a
Yeah.
little bit of a sticking it to the guy who's sticking it to your ex-girlfriend type of thing.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Kip was not selling, and I feel like when there's not a sell, like that really hurt him. So-
Yeah. When you're not, you're really hurt. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so let's get into the main event of AEW Dark. We had Sean Spears alongside his personal advisor, Tully Blanchard, still looking for that tag team partner. They go back to Peter Avalon in this, which is something I thought was a little weird. They've done this tag team before, so I'm not sure what they were thinking with that one. But they're going up against the Nightmare Family in the personification of QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. Again, straight up tag match. There wasn't really anything too out of the ordinary with this one for me.
Yeah, I thought I thought the match was just a man. That's about it. I mean, the best part was when Brandy got in there.
Yeah.
There was Sean. I like Sean. I'm glad every time they put him in the show is good for me. I like that he's trying to rid himself of the perfect. I liked those spots
When the
where
crowd's
he's like,
chanting, the crowd's chanting 10 and he's, dismissing it.
yeah, and I like the no high spots for you, Marks. Did you hear him yell that out?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. That's good heel stuff right there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the match was I don't know. It's nothing to write home about. I'm not gonna say it was bad. There was really nothing botchy or anything about it, but there's just nothing to highlight there.
I mean, you got a tag match with four guys who probably have 50 years experience combined. 45 of those being Dustin, but Peter Avalon's been in the business for 20 some years. Sean Spears has been around for the last decade. Like, these guys know what they're doing, and it was a good tag match. And
Yeah.
Nightmare Family goes over on this one after Sean Spears decides to walk out on his partner, and that was that.
I wonder if we're feeling this way just because how good the match was before.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe. Yeah, we're still buzzing on that kendo stick. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I gotta watch it again. But
All right. Well, let's move on here.
all right, so a couple of news items to highlight here. There was a signing this week, which I heard about on Lance Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you know who
what
that
do you know
is?
about Lance Archer? I will admit that I I didn't know. I looked him, and I can't even say he looks familiar, but man, this guy's been. So it seems like it's good signing for AEW.
So, Wrestle Kingdom weekend, New Japan Pro Wrestling, January 4th and 5th. Lance Archer was the current United States champion at that time. The IWGP United States champion. And he had, I believe it was a hardcore match. I'm almost positive it was a hardcore match. But he goes up against Moxley. Moxley was fulfilling some of his New Japan duties, and they had a really solid match. There were some big spots. I don't remember specifically. We're talking about almost 2 months ago now, but this is the first time I've seen Lance Archer, and if that match was anything indicating what's to come, things are about to get really good in AEW. I like the signing a lot.
I like the signing for the fact that like he is a big dude. He's like 6'8", 6'9", and I think that's where AEW's lacking a little bit is in the size.
Yeah.
And if he does a program with Moxley, then there's a match for that size. Not that Jericho is bad, but like we're gonna get some hard hitting matches. I feel from that. I went and looked him up on YouTube, and yeah, like he's not afraid to chuck him.
Yeah, this guy, like you said, he's been around. So, what else did we learn this week?
Yeah, in other news, we got some official matches for Revolution. So Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. We, in our last podcast, thought this was going to be a thing. So that's official now.
It's good to see.
And also official, Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose. So what do you think about those matches?
Like you mentioned, we kind of knew Darby Allin Guevara was going to be a thing. It was just a matter of making it official, which, I mean, I'm excited to see this match. Two guys, similar sizes. I think they're going to make a really good attempt at stealing the show. I think this match is going to be really good. And getting into the AEW Women's Championship match, I don't like it. I think it's a little too early for these two to butt heads. I would have liked to see, because of the altercation on the ramp last week, I think Statlander and Swole should go, say, on the buy-in for Revolution. And let's drag this feud out. I feel like Statlander is going to go up to Rose. She's only been champ for a couple weeks. It's almost written in the stars already that Nyla Rose is going over. So I don't know how they keep this push on Statlander. I think it's going to hurt her.
This is purely just because of rank, like where she's ranked.
Yeah,
because she's, if I remember correctly, number 1. Is that how they're coming up with it?
I guess so.
I think I agree with you. Nyla probably maybe shouldn't have had a match at Revolution. I think she should have been involved somehow.
Definitely involved.
Maybe she does it on Swole and Statlander. But yeah, Statlander Swole probably would have been the better match and keep it going a bit. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't stunt Statlander. Yeah, she's my girl.
I just don't see the point of having Swole come out on that in that altercation last week in Atlanta. I don't see the point now. It doesn't make sense to me.
Unless she's going to be doing the run-in.
Hey,
that might save Statlander, right?
That might save Statlander.
I'm giving all my predictions away.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. But you mentioned Statlander getting into the rankings. Moving up in the rankings anyways. Let's take a look at these are the official AEW power rankings. They come out Wednesdays just before Dynamite now. So as of Wednesday, February 26, 2020, in the men's singles action, we have Chris Jericho as champion. We know this. We have Mox, who I noticed on his bar above his name as he was coming out, 10 match winning streak dating back to 2019. So he's 6-0 in 2020. He's the number one contender. He's getting his championship shot this weekend at Revolution. Number 2, we have Cody. Pac's at number 3. Kenny Omega's at 4. And we have MJF filling out the top 5. This is the same as the week before. Nothing's changed in the men's. Getting into the women's, our new AEW Women's Champion, Nyla Rose. As Damien mentioned, Chris Statlander is the number 1 contender. Riho slips back from the number 1 spot to number 2. Filling out the top 5, we have Hakura Shida, Yuka Sakazaki, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Getting into the tag team division, we have Omega and Hangman Adam Page as the champions. They're on a 5-0 record for 2020, which is pretty impressive in the tag division. The Young Bucks became the number 1 contenders with that Battle Royale win. SCU slips back to number 2. Dark Order, number 3. Proud and Powerful at number 4. And the Best Friends moving up into the power rankings for the first time, I believe. And they're at number 5. So what we're here for, let's just get right into AEW Dynamite. February 26, 2020, live from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The crowd was lit for this show. If you remember the beginning, they were lit up.
They were lit all night, I felt.
Yeah.
That Kansas City crowd is they're still on a high from the Super Bowl, I think.
That was awesome. It was awesome.
They were one of the most in-tune crowds I've seen in AEW so far. This was a Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania type crowd. And that's big props.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, for sure. All right, first match was the Bastard Pac versus Kenny Omega in a 30-minute Iron match.
This is the first Iron Man match we've seen in AEW, so a little bit of history there.
Okay, yeah. I don't think they mentioned that. But
I don't think they did either, but I can't remember. I can't remember any other ones.
So what'd you think about this one?
I mean, this is match of the night for me. They were starting off strong in this one. I understand with the segment that ended the show why it should end the show, but I mean, this was the main event of the night.
Yeah, I thought it was hard hitting, like it always is with these two. Like their chests were red in like 5 minutes, and they had some huge spots.
The whole first 5 minutes was all Kenny Omega, and it seemed like if he wasn't throwing a knee, he was throwing that knife edge chop. And yeah, like you said, Pac's chest was all bruised up. He had a real nasty cherry under his armpit here. Hard hitting match.
Yeah.
One of the biggest kind of points of this match is that we don't even have a pinfall attempt for almost 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was long into the match before that even happened, and I like that. I like that they just let them wrestle, and it wasn't like some Iron Man matches where it's like pin, kick out.
It's like 3 points in 5 minutes on just like roll ups. That never works for me.
No. What'd you think of that power bomb from the edge of the apron onto the floor?
That modified Falcon Arrow right to the.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it was a Falcon Arrow. I watched it back like 4 times trying to figure out what that move actually was, but I mean, it looked like a Falcon Arrow to me. That was insane. The sound that their bodies made, mostly Kenny's because he's landing on his back, but that sound that he made landing on that mat, like I lost the wind out of my chest. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was insane.
And then not to even before that spot, there was a huge avalanche brainbuster off the top rope. just before that, and Kenny
right.
lands right on his head. And you gotta love, like we mentioned, the crowd, and they start this "You killed Kenny, you killed Kenny." I thought that just made my night. I'm a huge South Park fan, right? So, big. Kenny comes back at him shortly thereafter with this huge Tiger Driver 98, gets a near fall, and then he does this. Pac kind of does this flip into a catch German suplex, and he catches the pin, and we almost get a near fall on that one. I thought that was a really good little sequence of moves as well. What else are we going into here?
I think the other big spot was Pac did that shooting star press from the top onto the table outside the ring.
Just had my finger on that note. Yeah, that was huge, and it looked really good. It really shows off the athleticism of Pac, and I just feel like I don't know if AEW needs to change their turnbuckle pads or something, but he was having some trouble, getting his footing, because he knows he's going to have to get a real nice spring off this jump, and I don't know. It just looked like he was having some troubles there.
I remember what you're talking about there, and I never thought that myself, but now that you say it, maybe he wanted to make sure, because he flubs that and it looks awful.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than seeing a shooting star press go wrong, because more often than not they're landing on their neck. If you remember Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
So it wasn't 16 minutes to get the first point, and it was on a disqualification, which I don't know if you caught this, but they said this was the first DQ ever in AEW.
Yeah, and when they mentioned this on commentary, I kind of thought, I was just like, really? But yeah, they've been doing a good job that, the hardcore matches are the hardcore matches, and the legit matches are the legit matches. And yeah, it was kind of an interesting little fun fact there that this was the first DQ ever. And I think this works out. This play works out well into Pac's favor. It really solidifies him as a heel. It's hard. I find it hard to cheer against heels when they're doing such spectacular moves all the time, because you just kind of like, man, that was awesome. Oh, that was awesome. So getting the chair shot in, he's a little bit frustrated. I think this comes after a couple of near falls Kenny kicks out on. And let's just take this chair shot, give up a point, and now I'm on offense for the next. God, it was like the next 10 minutes almost.
And he got his point back. I want to say it was less than a minute later.
Yeah, it was fairly quick. They had their little 30-second interval in between bells, and I think he lined up another Black Arrow and got his pin.
I like that it was low scoring, because it ends 1-1, and I like that than rather having a whole bunch of falls.
So I don't know if you've ever saw this, because this was kind of before our time watching wrestling, but very infamous match in WWF history is the 60-minute Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And call me crazy, but the last 5 minutes of this match were exactly the same as that match.
You would remember. I'd have to rewatch it. I'll believe you, just because I know you're probably right.
In that match, Mike HBK and Bret Hart, the last 5 minutes it's all Bret Hart. It's all Bret Hart. He's pushing the pace, and he has Shawn Michaels in the sharpshooter for nearly 2.5 minutes. Not unlike this match, Pac has all these different variations of the brutalizer on Kenny for almost 3 minutes. And he's hanging on, he's hanging on, he's hanging on. The time limit expires. That's it. Justin Roberts comes on. Well, before that, this didn't happen in the Michaels match, so maybe this is how it differs, but Pac attacks Turner, Paul Turner, and gets him out of the ring. At that point, Justin Roberts gets on the microphone. This match will continue under sudden death rules, exactly the same as WrestleMania 12. And, Aubrey Edwards comes out to save the day. Huge pop for Aubrey. Oh, yeah. And
she's so over.
Yeah, she's so over. She's probably more over than Pac is, really. not that Pac needs to be over. He's the heel, but anyways, so we have another quick little match. It was about 3 minutes long, and these V triggers, Kenny hits 3 of them, and they looked stiff.
Stiffsky, yeah. Yeah, I like the ending. Are you thinking that this is a ripoff from that match in WWF? No,
it was just those last few minutes. It was the mirroring of the Michaels being in the sharpshooter, Omega being in the brutalizer, the match ending. Everybody's kind of acting confused. What's going to happen? The ring announcer gets the word. Match will restart under sudden death rules. And then that mini match, it's all Michaels. Where, this mini match, it was all Omega. And, the right person wins the match for that time, I think. And it would be terrible for, Kenny to go into Revolution going to defend Tag Team Championship gold coming off of a loss. I just don't think that they do that to him. So I think it all worked out good. It was a very entertaining match. Like, I was all over this match. Yeah. My job was on the floor all night.
In the series, that's 2-1 Kenny now?
Yeah, this was billed as the rubber match between the two because I don't know if you noticed on their name bars, Pac comes out and it says defeated Kenny Omega at All Out. And then when Omega comes out, defeated Pac on Dynamite, October or whatever it was. So, I just think, I don't know if this is the end, per se. I think we're going to see more Pac Omega in the future. But, that's for another time.
Yeah. Yeah, good match.
It was a really good match. Like I said, match of the night for me. Let's move on. We get a 6-man tag match coming up here with the Inner Circle being represented by Sammy Guevara and Proud and Powerful Santino and Ortiz. And they're going up against Jurassic Express. This is basically the second time we're seeing Jurassic Express in the span of 2 days, if you count Marco Stunt on Dark. So, AEW is really getting behind Jurassic Express as a real hot babyface tag team, mini faction, if you will.
They got the crowd, so I think it's a good move. What'd you think?
Yeah, this is a pretty standard 6-man tag matches. I'm not a fan of 6-man tags. I just think it always seems to break down in communication. There's always some weird spots, which we definitely got in this match. My biggest takeaway is that Jurassic Express is starting to incorporate 3-person moves. Tag teams are known for tag maneuvers. It's why they're called tag maneuvers, right? But when it comes down to 6-man tags, it's usually a singles wrestler along with a tag team. The tag team does their tag spots and the single wrestler does their single spots. But the Jurassic Express used each other. There was an awesome double super kick, big boot in the corner. They had a real nice flurry there where they did 2 or 3 really awesome 3-man spots, and I was just excited to see that. I've never seen 6-man tags go that way before.
Yeah. No, I had the same thing for me. I thought they did it really well. And just to add, they make Marco look better.
Yes, and
Like, even though he had a really great match on Dark, he could get lost, with them because they're a lot bigger. But to me, they made him look like he was that big. Yeah, they did a really good job.
and like I said when we were talking about Dark, is he's not doing any moves that really stretches your belief of the product. Like, it's Luchasaurus throwing him into a Hurricane Rana or something similar. And yeah, just this was his best performance. Yeah, you mentioned Dark was his best performance. I think he topped it this week on
Okay.
Dynamite.
Yeah. I wonder if they're taking a lot from like the Lucha Brothers and the Strong Hearts, because they have that flair.
Right.
So if that's what they're doing, I say continue doing that and come up with some unique stuff, and they'll move up.
Right, for
People
sure.
want to see them more. And
Yeah, like you said, the
but
crowd's
yeah,
behind
nothing
them.
really notable in this match besides Darby Allin running in and then using Ortiz's Mad Ball to get the win for Jurassic Express.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Darby Allin run-in is probably the most notable spot of this whole segment. Let's move on.
Okay.
What's next?
All right. So next match was Best Friends with Orange Cassidy against the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny, which
You're
yes,
liking this already,
the
right?
highlight of the night.
The highlight of the night,
Or
yeah.
as you like to refer to them, the B.
The B team, yeah.
No, we're not calling them the B team.
Wow, they're a little bit better than the B team was.
Yeah. What do you got going on for this?
I felt like when we kind of looked last week at the Lucha Brothers Kenny Omega match, and about halfway through that match, things kind of got unstructured, and people were just kind of running around with really no structure in the sense of the rules of a tag team match. I felt this match handled that a little bit better right up until the end. They were doing such a good job. I was like, yeah, this is a tag team match. They're doing tag team things. The Butcher and the Blade were doing a really good job of creating that heat on themselves. They were getting in a lot of the cheap shots on Chuck Taylor, hitting him out of the ring so he can't get the tag in. My biggest disappointment with this match is that they killed the hot tag to Chuck Taylor. Trent was.
They always do that, don't they?
I feel like that's just
Like, it
something that
always
we're not
seems to be
getting.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trent fought and got beat the hell out of for I'm not sure how long it was, but it was a while, and he finally gets that hot tag. I think Chuck gets 2 strikes in, and then he was cut off, and then that's when they go into the spot at the end where everybody's outside of the ring, and the valets take the spotlight. What did you think of this?
I thought it was the best part of the match. Not just because I'm in love with the Bunny, but it was this might sound bad, but I feel like it was the most entertaining part of it. Like there was
really
some good
was.
wrestling in there, but it was pretty uneventful, and this was something that caught me just because Orange Cassidy, you just never know what's going to go on, and yeah, I like the exchange they had. That was the highlight for me.
Yeah, for sure. I like what Orange Cassidy's doing. We know his gimmick. He's the sloth and all that stuff. He doesn't really try. Everything's kind of nonchalant. But I like how he's building up this suspense. He's showing his stuff to a national crowd, and like he's doing these tope suicinas through the ropes with his hands in his pocket. He's he does the craziest things. He does the kip up with his hands in his pocket. Like, he's teasing us with his athleticism. And, I can't wait for the day when this guy, takes his hands out of his pocket, so to speak. And but we'll get into that even later on.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise, pretty standard segment. It didn't really jump out at me. It didn't really upset me either. So
yeah.
Well, let's move on here. We get into a fatal 4-way match featuring the women's division. We have the magical girl Yuka Sakazaki. She's kind of currently my favorite of the women's division. I'm glad she's actually on the show now. We hadn't seen her there since I want to say Fyter Fest up until just this couple weeks ago. So I'm glad she's back. We also have Big Swole coming in, Portugal's perfect athlete Shanna, and Hikaru Shida, which we've seen quite a bit of. I was really impressed in some spots. I was super, super, super disappointed in a lot of spots in this one.
Yeah. For me, I thought it was comical, and I liked that. It was entertaining in that aspect, but for me, I think it was Big Swole. The timing just wasn't there.
Her and Shanna.
I think she's a really good athlete. It's just, I don't know. There was no charisma between those wrestlers.
I hate to throw Shanna into this conversation because she did have a really good match with Statlander last week, but it seemed like whenever Swole and Shanna were locking up, things were not clicking. Those two, for two who have had matches against each other before on Dark, these two look like they've never even talked before. Like, there was just zero chemistry with these two. For me, I mean, like I mentioned, I kind of fanboy out on Sakazaki, but she was the highlight of this match. She was keeping the crowd invested in, what was basically a turd on the match card. She was doing her kind of goofy, I'm just happy to be here, but they were doing the three-way test of strength, and she kind of just squeaks in and then starts kicking people in the shins. Like, that was the only reason I kept watching that match, was Sakazaki.
And if that was her idea, I think it was great, because the four woman match, to me, that never works. It's 1-2 triple threat, good, but a fourth is just, it's too many.
Right.
So I thought she did a good job of, kind of the person left out, but she made the best of it. So yeah, you're right. She was the highlight.
I feel like her reactions, as the other three were doing their spots and she's just watching them, she's just like, whoa, wow, that's cool. Yeah. And then she tries to get in and they kind of push her aside, like, get out of here. And she's just like, like, yeah, it's the only reason I kept watching that match with Sakazaki. But as we move on from that, we come back from, I think it was a commercial break in between there, but we have this interview segment with Jim Ross interviewing the participants of Revolution's upcoming AEW Tag Team Championship match, being Hangman, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, as well as the Young Bucks. This was something.
All I could say is awkward. But I think it was probably meant to be that.
Yeah. I still haven't called the jury out on this one. But it was like you said, it was awkward. But I think that's what they were going for, just reestablishing this this tension of Hangman Adam Page and the Elite. As we've seen in the last few weeks on Being the Elite, the Young Bucks, they're "Oh, we're concerned about you, man. We love you. I don't know why you feel you need to have these drinks and stuff like that." And he's just like, "You guys don't even care about me." And this was the I don't know, the just the extra little spice on this dramatic event that's kind of happening in the Elite.
Yeah, if you thought there was like one shred of Hangman staying in Elite, I think this destroys it. He's so out now, in my opinion. Like, how did you feel when Nick says you were just a jobber in Ring of Honor?
That
and,
was
like, we
wow.
didn't bring you in, like you'd be nothing. We made you like,
yeah, that was
wow.
Like, talk about bringing some extra tension into an already tense situation, right?
But yeah, no, like, do you consider that bringing kayfabe into the story? Like, to me, that,
you know what, the Elite as a whole is so over with the world of professional wrestling. Like, AEW really doesn't happen without the Elite. It's called All Elite Wrestling for a reason. And I think that all four of these guys are baby faces. Someone had to do something to get that heat, to bring the heel aspect so that we know that, you know, there is something on the line here more than 2 belts. You know what I mean? So I think it was a really good, as much as you don't want the Elite to break up, but I mean, I like the move by Nick Jackson. You know, you're just a jobber. You're nothing without us bringing you to Japan and putting you on YouTube. Like, I thought that was brilliant on his part.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
So yeah, a lot at stake coming on Revolution with the AEW Tag Team Champions.
I'm expecting a good match, so hopefully it doesn't disappoint.
Yeah. These four know each other, like they say in this segment, and yeah, exciting. Let's move on.
All right, so right after that was the last segment of the night where they're doing the weigh-in, which they accidentally called the contract signing. I didn't see any contracts.
Yeah, JR made a mistake there earlier in the night.
Yeah. So Chris Jericho, John Moxley coming out to do the weigh-in. And I like how they do this UFC style, bringing out the 2 hotties there,
right?
And then they have this announcer. Do you know who this announcer is? Gary Michael.
Yeah, so he
didn't sound familiar to me, but
yeah, no, I've never seen this guy live, but I know that he used to do the ring announcing for WCW like way back in the day. Like, we're talking pre Ted Turner days, I believe. So yeah, like on his little graphic there, they mentioned he's been a legend of the announcing business for like 50 some years or 40 some years, something like that. I didn't quite catch it, but yeah, and then that just ties into Jericho's comment on him, and which I thought was kind of funny because I don't think he was working there when WCW died. So, but we could probably fact check that. See, but yeah, that's his deal. He was a ring announcer. He was the Justin Roberts of WCW back in the day.
Oh, okay.
He's not good.
So like I said, I really liked it. Yeah, no, he was terrible. I really liked the UFC sort of feel they had to it, and I really liked how Inner Circle came out.
Yeah,
I don't know if this Painmaker posse is a thing they're going with now, but the tracksuits, awesome touch. I really like.
Yeah, that. I really enjoyed what they did here. I'm not sure what the Painmaker posse is going to be all about, but I liked how they did. I have all my notes here. The Hoist Gracie, the Gracie family back in the early days of the UFC would come out and they would all be touching each other's shoulders walking out. I thought that was really cool, kind of just adding to that. Yeah, this is the big deal. This is a big fight feel. Let's treat it like it's a big fight, and I thought that was great.
I wonder if the Painmaker Posse is like in UFC. They have those. They name their camps or what.
Right. Yeah. Could be.
I can't remember what one of them are, but I wonder if that's what that is.
Yeah, you got an American top team and things like this in the UFC. So
yeah,
it possibly could be. Maybe Painmaker Posse was an original idea for the name of the faction, and they just found a different avenue to use it, because it was probably a coin flip between that and Inner Circle, and maybe when it came down to the final decision, Inner Circle won. So this is another way
I think
to use
if
it.
we heard Painmaker Posse at the beginning, Inner Circle was hard enough to swallow at the beginning, although I love it now.
Yeah, no, I think Inner Circle was the way to go. I don't know how.
So what do you think about this segment?
This just solidifies for me. I've said solidified like 18 times tonight, but this just cements it for me that Chris Jericho is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He works the crowd. He gets the heat. Again, he has the crowd chanting, like singing his song to him, immediately booing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Shut
get that
your
kind
ass. Shut your ass.
Yeah.
Like, who says that?
Yeah. Only Jericho. I mean, this is a guy who came up with Ass Clown. So
Right.
yeah, Jericho just he's the best for me. He made this segment. Moxley did Moxley things, which just is exactly what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be chomping at the bit, he's pacing, he's doing his thing, and he's the caged bull at this point. He wants to get at it.
Yeah, redemption, yeah.
As we talk about how this all I just remembered something as I look at my notes here. The Fat Jericho chants.
I didn't catch that.
No, it was right off the start. So Moxley does his way in, 234 pounds, and then what was his name? Gary Roberts, Gary Capetta,
Gary Michael Capetta. Yeah.
Whatever. He, Mr. Jericho, will you please do the honors? And Jericho's strutting up to the scale. And yeah, it was immediate. It was just like Fat Jericho. I can't remember what the tune they were singing, but they're calling him fat. And I've heard these comments before towards Jericho, and he's just like, whatever. I'm on TV. What do you have going on?
Is that when he said "shut your ass"?
Yeah, maybe.
It was pretty early on. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. That's funny. He never did get on the scale, did he?
He never did get on the scale, because as he's taking, every time he teased it, he took off the belt. He got Sammy to hold the belt. Then he took off his neckerchief, and then he took his jacket off, and then he gets in the face of Moxley there, and pretty stiff ski headbutt.
Yeah, if that's real, the picture I saw on Twitter, he said it was 7 stitches.
Ooh,
yeah,
wow.
It's a good shot.
It's a gash. I'm surprised it didn't bleed more, but yeah, Jericho showing some color, bringing some more intensity to this matchup coming up on Saturday. As the brawl ensues, Moxley's out there alone again. All of Inner Circle's out there. And we get kind of a what's the word that I'm thinking of? A reprise a reprise of last week as Dustin Rhodes comes out, goes right after Hager. They go off into the crowd. Darby Allin comes out. He gets in, goes right after Guevara. But I like how this time Inner Circle gets the upper hand. And, now that I just kind of read all this out in my head, this is the skateboard shot. Sammy gets a hold of the skateboard. Yeah, and he breaks it over Darby's head. What did you think of the big brawl at the end?
Yeah, I thought it was good. You're right. It was classic Jericho. He knows how to get the heat. Just little things like him doing the paradigm, doing the other person's move, that kind of thing, and then doing it right on the scale. Yeah, I thought it was a good ending to the show, and it's I feel like it's gonna get everybody pumped for this weekend.
For sure. I have one question before we close up this segment. What are dipping dots?
So,
did you look this up?
I'm gonna assume it's a company, but so Dustin and Hager are in the
concourse.
What do you call it? And they're going at it, and he throws Dustin into a kiosk, and it says Dippin' Dots on it. And then Jim Ross, says it, and I feel like Dippin' Dots, good for them if it's a real franchise or something, got a free plug. But to me, this is something I feel like the fans could probably, if we see some Dippin' Dot signs, I was just gonna
say next week or even at Revolution, Dippin' Dots stock just went up like 5 points.
I'm gonna invest tomorrow.
I bought my stocks already, man. All right, as we creep over the hour mark here, let's just quickly run through AEW Revolution, the pay-per-view this Saturday, live from downtown Chicago, as they've been pouring down our throats. This isn't in the suburbs like All In and All Out. This is downtown. We're in vanilla territory now, guys. The war is heating up. So the match card, as we know it, as of today's date, these aren't in any specific order. These are just the matches as I thought of them. We have Pac versus Orange Cassidy, which was announced early or about halfway through the night. We didn't mention this segment, but Orange Cassidy comes out while Pac's getting interviewed by Tony Schiavone after the Iron Man match, and Pac lays the beats on him. And this isn't the first time we've seen these two stand off, so it'll be good. This is Orange Cassidy's first ever singles match action in AEW. And after the Best Friends match, we get a hint of maybe he's going to try. What do you think?
Yeah. Who knows? I hope he doesn't.
You hope he doesn't?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't.
We haven't really talked about Orange Cassidy. If we could do this real quick, this is the guy he's a comedic wrestler in all senses of the word, and I like it. Some people say there's not a spot, much like Marco Stunt. I think there's a spot for everybody in professional wrestling, and I get a kick out of Orange Cassidy.
I mean, I think they call it sports entertainment for a reason. So if it's entertaining, does it really matter what it is? And if you think of some of the greatest wrestlers, Hall of Famers, I think of The Rock. Probably not, in my opinion, the best wrestler out there, but he could entertain, and that was his whole thing, and it's why everybody loves him. So yeah, I like what Orange is doing.
I like that you bring up The Rock, because The Rock for almost a whole year was nothing but a comedic wrestler. You know, around 2002, he was doing his Hollywood Rock gimmick. He was on TV every week with the Hurricane.
Yeah.
Never took a bump and was the most entertaining part of the show.
Yeah. Was he injured?
No, he's
Or
Hollywood.
That's just where.
I think he's probably filming movies in between shows. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, predictions: Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Who's going over?
My pick is Pac.
For sure.
Really they got to keep him looking strong. Orange doesn't need a win. He's over regardless. So, yeah, I think it's got to be.
I would be shocked beyond all belief if Cassidy pulls out a win here. But let's move.
I think the only way is Pac is unconscious and Orange Cassidy accidentally falls on him for 3 seconds.
You know what would be good? You know what would be good is if Pac goes for the Black Arrow and knocks himself out.
Yeah.
And he rolls over and then Orange Cassidy just kind of
Right.
It won't happen, but it would be great.
No, it won't happen.
AEW Women's Championship match: Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander. Who do you got?
I think Nyla, and I think for the reason that she needs to keep the I'm a one-time champ going.
You don't.
So they can't.
Yeah,
you can't make a statement like that and then they're gonna.
Yeah, you don't make that comment without at least rolling with it for a little while. I think Rose is going to be champion for a while. I hope, like you mentioned, maybe Swole interferes and Statlander stays looking as strong as she is, because, like I said, I think this is a little too early for this match. I would have liked this to brew a little bit longer. Darby Allin versus Sammy G. You know, I mentioned it, two guys that are very similar size. I'm looking forward to this match. To me, this is a coin flip, but I'm gonna say Darby Allin goes over on this one.
I picked Darby Allin as well. I think they need to put him in a position to be a title contender, and he really needs to get more over. I think he's there and people are interested in, but he doesn't do a lot of mic stuff, and I think it's going to be wins that are going to get him over. So
right,
yeah, it's got to be Darby.
Yeah, there's talks of a mid card belt coming to AEW, and I think with a big Darby Allin win, that sets him up perfectly for a push like that. I agree. Dark Order and SCU was officially announced after the show on the Revolution Countdown special. Who you got on this one?
I'm picking Dark Order, and only because I think they need to put Dark Order more in the limelight. If there is this Exalted One and this is going to be a story, they need to get them more on TV. So yeah, it's got to be Dark.
I'm gonna go SCU on this one just for the sake of being different, because I mean we've been all picking the same things, but I know SCU's
because we're brothers and we think alike.
Yes, this is true. It's not going to make for a good competition later on as these predictions come out, but
right.
I think SCU gets back in the W column on this one. We'll go with. I'll get one wrong. That's fine.
Okay.
Also announced on the Revolution Countdown show, we have Dustin versus Jake Hager. Another coin flip for me.
It is for me too. I think if it's Jake, they got to do it because it's his first match. And if they're gonna go Dustin, then it's got to be a really dirty. So I don't know how they would go about doing that, but yeah, I don't think Dustin can win legit. It's like, how bad does it look? You're this Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Your first match and then you lose. I don't know.
So you're taking Jake?
I'll take Jake.
Okay, I'm going to take Dustin, and I had this already written down, but I agree. It's going to be a dirty finish, and it's going to be a Jeff Cobb run-in.
I like it.
I think they'll bring Cobb back in and try to.
I think you get extra points.
If
you get extra points.
All right,
if
that's
you
a deal.
What?
Yeah. I just think that they need to repair some of the damage they did with bringing Cobb in too early. So they bring him back and he gets involved. AEW Tag Team Championship match: Young Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman.
What do you got?
I think this is the end of Hangman and Kenny. I think I don't even want to say the Young Bucks are gonna win per se, but Kenny and Hangman are definitely breaking up. So just to take the chance, I'm gonna say Kenny and Hangman win. I don't know how they'll do this, but they will do it. But they're breaking up, and we're only going to see them ever together to defend these titles, and that's going to be a new storyline.
The new story. Okay.
Yeah. Who you got?
I had Young Bucks for either of two reasons. Either it's because Hangman is leaving the Elite, so he sabotages somehow. Hopefully it's not just a buckshot lariat to Kenny like the last time, but or the Kenny turns on him, so it's kind of the turns on him. Like either of those
beats him to the punch kind of thing, eh?
Right.
I like it. All right, and as we get into what will most likely be the main event, Jericho versus Moxley for the AEW Championship. I've been saying this since this feud started at Christmas. It's too soon. It's too soon for Jericho to lose this belt. I think he needs to hang on to it for a little bit longer. However, I know for a fact Fozzie's going on tour. I say Mox takes it. But I don't want it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Like, we have to tell the viewers that we did not talk about these things before this. So I have Mox as well. I think it's going to be like some sort of run in or something. I don't think it can happen like clean if it's going to be Mox. I think they got to save Jericho. It can't just be a beat down, whatever. So some kind of run in, some kind of start of something new for Mox. But I'm gonna say he takes it.
Okay. All right. Well,
I was on the train of Jericho needs to keep it.
Right.
But I think this could be the time if they do it right.
Right.
It has to be done right, for sure.
All right. Well, good predictions. Again, we will go over these after Revolution. We'll probably record another show Sunday or Monday, depending on when we can get around to watching it. I don't know if we'll actually get to watch Revolution live, but we'll definitely record it, and it'll be a shorter show. We'll talk about the card, and we'll compare our predictions to what actually happens, and I think that'll be a good show. As we close off here, let's bring up a little scoop of vanilla ice cream. What do you think?
Sure, yeah. So for this segment, we're going to talk about the vanilla brand, and the vanilla brand was actually in our home province of Manitoba this past week, and
that is in Canada that is in Canada for our American viewers.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess I should have said that. So you were at the show in Brandon. What did you think of it? I
came into these tickets, I got a text from a buddy Friday him and his cousin couldn't go to the show. Got a really good deal. Got almost damn near front row tickets. Closest I've ever been for a live event. But I love going to these live events. It's a different show. It's more about the wrestling. They don't have to worry about TV restrictions. They can have fun. It was a great show. Everybody you kind of expected to be there was there. We got to see Street Profits, tag team that we were really hyped about while we were watching. Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder are always just great workers. They don't get the pushes they deserve. We got to see Seth Rollins, Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was the only Canadian content we had at that show, though, which I was a little disappointed. So I don't know where Natalia was because she seems to be at every show we go to, but it was a good show. We got to see the man.
She was at home feeding her cats.
She was at home feeding the cats, but we did get to see the man, and I just couldn't help myself. But
nice.
I had to dish out the $20 for this bad boy. This is a pretty nice hat.
That is very cool.
A little bit support.
You got me one too, though, right?
No, not even close. It's $20, man, for a snapback. It's horse shit. Anyways, no, it was a really good show. It was a really fun night. I went with my buddy Corey. We talked about AEW the whole way there. We listened to some podcasts. It was just a really fun night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Monday night, they were in Winnipeg. I didn't watch Raw. I can't really comment on it, but it's cool that they were back after 15 some years.
Yeah, and I didn't really watch this show either. I had it on the TV, and I was kind of keeping my eye on it. I was more interested just because I have been to the arena so many times, just to see like how it looked from where they go to the big arenas in the States, and I thought like it looked really well. It didn't look like the shows that we had went to, like the big screen was there, and
they had the full
crowd and the crowd was awesome, I thought, and it was packed in there, and on Twitter, like a lot of people were commenting on it, and everybody thought it was a good show. So, not sad I missed it, but
yeah, me neither. It was
glad that they're getting wrestling back. So now we just need, come on, Cody.
Yeah,
come on, Elite. You have
two very highly touted talents from Winnipeg, Manitoba on your roster. One of them is your champion. One's an EVP. I mean, it better not just be a Dynamite. It better be a pay-per-view, I'll tell you that much. But we'll be there, and we'll be reporting on it for sure. Getting into the final segment of the day, of the episode here, Breaking Kayfabe, I just want to talk about some kind of behind-the-scenes things. Matt Hardy is in the news of professional wrestling, and it's known that his contract is up in a couple days, March 1st at midnight. He's officially not a WWE superstar anymore. He hasn't resigned. He hasn't even thought about resigning, I feel like. But WWE is throwing a lot of money at him. I don't know the numbers. And yeah, he's given us clues in only the way Matt Hardy can. And what I'm talking about is I didn't see this live or on the show or anything like that, but Randy Orton is kind of back in his legend killer status. Coming off the Royal Rumble, he took out Edge right away. And then he focused on Matt Hardy, put his head between some stairs and crushed his head or something like that. So now Matt Hardy's...
a chair or something like that.
Yeah. So Matt Hardy's selling this neck injury, and he's been rolling himself around in this makeshift wheelchair at the Hardy Ranch. But he sends out a tweet 2 days ago, all right, on Tuesday, and all it reads is, "Dear Dr. RKO, all in capital letters. And he has a GIF attached to the tweet, and it's him in his neck brace, and it says "Thank you." So now, I mean, we know Matt Hardy, we know the broken gimmick or the woken gimmick in the vanilla version of the gimmick, but this guy doesn't just put out anything without having some meaning behind it, right?
Right.
So if you take a look at these letters, Dear Dr. RKO, if you unscramble them a little bit, it reads out Dark Order.
Excuse me?
Right? Is this a hint? Is Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy, the exalted one? Before you say anything,
Okay.
yesterday he tweets out again. With a hand of days remaining, nothing is yet written in stone. Every major player is currently on the board. Everyone's at the table. I must reproduce or procure. I must reprocure. I must be resurrected. I must seek out my Arcadia. Then what's next? With NXT all capitalized. Hashtag free the delete. So he is playing all sides right now, and I wonder if he's gonna bring up ROH, NWA. I doubt he'd go to Japan, but this is interesting stuff. Well,
So you think that maybe this is a tactic to? Well, it creates buzz. Like, I mean, we're talking about
him, yeah.
But it's in today's world with the internet and everything, it's hard to do something surprising. So I like it. It's confusing, and
we compare it back to the Elite, kind of keeping us in the dark about Kenny Omega's intentions when his contract signing was up. Like, I mean, we can all assume now he was always going to be a part of AEW last January, but they played the card. They, lost his phone, and they kept us on our toes for a month. So, I mean, I like it. I hope he comes to AEW. I feel like if he went to NXT, what are they going to do with him there? They're not doing I don't know, but
I mean, he'd do well anywhere he goes because he's Matt Hardy.
I mean, his knees aren't gonna bend ever again, though, right? Like, how many years does he have left?
Right.
So I don't know.
And be part of the revolution.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I think that's more than
Matt Hardy is
you gotta think he has millions of dollars.
I'm sure he's doing well, but I think he's a creative person, and the broken Matt Hardy gimmick was one of the most wild characters I'd ever seen on TV, and I didn't even get to see it on TV because it was in Impact Wrestling. I watched his whole saga on YouTube, but right. I loved every minute of it. And when
was it WWE that killed it? Because I felt like it was coming, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, we had that woken Matt Hardy for a little while, and it was really starting to gain some steam when he was going up against Bray Wyatt. But then, as they do with everything, they just shut it down. And one day Vince wakes up and I don't like this anymore, and he puts an end to it. But anyways, we'll keep an eye on Matt Hardy and what his intentions are. And really great show. This is our third time trying this out. I thought today went really well. I hope you guys enjoyed the new layout, the new look. I have even more things planned coming up for the upcoming weeks. And if you haven't already, drop a like. Think about hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you know when we go live. And share with your friends, man. The channel will only grow and it'll only get better if we have the support of anybody who's watching and listening. So share the news that we're the new podcast on the block. We're wrestling fans talking about wrestling for wrestling fans. So, thanks again for listening and for watching, and we'll catch you next week.